Hi, hello, and welcome to Paisa Vasool. As always, I'm your host, Shravan. We got Taran here with us.
Hello.
And we're back after a bit of a hiatus. Um, we've got episodes coming, but this is going to be the first one after the Darling episode, which we did a little while back. I guess it's related then, because Darling is in this.
Yes,
Yeah.
darling Prabhas.
Well, of course, we're talking about Kalki 2898 AD. We've just, we watched it a couple of days ago. We watched it on release day. I wanted to record it earlier, actually,
We want to get it done as soon as possible.
as soon as we could. But
Yeah.
I actually needed some time to sort of digest this movie before I voice my opinion on it. So we'll do our usual non-spoiler review first. So we won't go into any spoilers because it is still pretty early since it's come out, and then we'll jump into full spoilers later in the episode. So we'll clearly signal when that is the case. Directed by Ashwin. His third film, which is quite, I guess, pretty extraordinary that he's made this as his third film.
So do you know he's married to Ashwini Dutt's daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his daughters are
They're producers on this as well. Yeah.
So the production house is Vijayanti Movies, who are quite a prolific production house in the Telugu film industry. So I think they've been around for like 50 years or something. Ashwini Dutt, he's the founder anyway, so he's been producing films for a long time. I briefly looked through the list of films that they've produced, and they've basically made a movie with every big hero.
I think the daughters have their own production house as well. But
they've got like the like subsidiary, like smaller movies that they make on their own.
Yeah. But I think they're both executive producers on this, and Ashwini, that's like the actual producer.
Yeah. Well, I think they just put his name, but I think they were the ones that were actually doing the work.
Yeah.
Like I think he was there, but I think the daughters were the ones that were doing most of it.
It's a bit of nepotism there.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're probably rich and they can. But like that being said, I think they've done a good job on this. Ashwin's previous film, Mahanati, was also produced by them. And I'm not sure.
I think the first one's produced by the subsidiary.
It wasn't Vijayanti. Starring Amitabh Bachchan as well, Deepika Padukone, Kamal Hassan, other people. I think they're the big ones. We'll get into our thoughts on the movie, I guess. So we didn't get a chance to talk about this because I had to leave straight after the movie, and we haven't really talked about it. So I'm really quite interested to hear your thoughts on it. So without getting into spoilers, and the story, I don't know if the story is basically what's in the trailer. So I don't know if we need to go into it any more than that.
There's probably some surprises all for spoilers, but the story is what the trailer says it is.
Yeah. The first trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on it?
I quite liked it, but also it's not a perfect movie. I think the screenplay is quite dragging, especially in the first half. The second half does pick up a lot more, and it's a much better movie in the second half. There's probably some characters that aren't necessary in it, which is the downfall of the first half, and they do a lot of world building. And I really like the world, but also it does get a bit bogged down in the world building in the first half. But saying that, it also has amazing special effects. And I think I messaged you this. I think it's the best special effects from any Indian movie ever made, by probably a fair margin in the end. Lots of movies, Telugu movies or Bollywood movies, when they use special effects, over-reliant on CGI, but they actually use practical effects in this for a good amount. Like the car Buji is mostly practical, which is amazing. Some of the vehicles and stuff they use like a practical set. It's almost like how they do it on like Mandalorian. They use like practical stuff and then
augment it with CGI.
Yeah.
So it's not all CGI.
Yeah, which makes it look better in the long run. Even like compared to like Bahubali, which I rewatched, this looks so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bahubali
it's old now.
7 years old now.
Yeah.
The second one, and the first one's even older. So
yeah. RRR has some special effects. I'm not sure how it compares to this. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
But from what I remember, this is just miles ahead in terms of
I think the
everything
world
looks.
in this is like RRR, for example, is set in basically, like the real world.
Yep.
Whereas this is basically all fictitious. So it's like it's in the future. So it's a futuristic movie.
I think some of the criticisms have been it's just Star Wars, or it's just Dune, or it's just Mad Max, I guess. And it does borrow some of those elements. And you see some stuff and you're like, oh, I've seen that in other movies. But I think it does enough stuff differently that it's still worth watching.
I think it's reminiscent of
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but isn't all sci-fi in that case? Like,
it's like Alita Battle Angel as well. Like, I got Alita Battle Angel vibes.
Yeah,
I got Dune vibes.
Some people were saying Blade Runner vibes.
Children of Men.
I was getting I think Star Wars was what struck me initially, but then Dune. There's
a bit at the end, Avengers, Infinity War, like
yeah. So I think but I think all sci-fi is sort of interrelated in that way. Like if Dune had come out before, or the book Dune came out before Star Wars.
Yeah.
So obviously Star Wars was essentially Dune.
And Star Wars is like based off Akira Kurosawa's last Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
What is it? Yeah. So
it's like a Western and a space opera combined.
So they all kind of borrow off each other.
So I don't think it's like a valid criticism to say, oh, it's like all these movies, but like all those movies are like each other as well.
Yeah.
So that it's not really like, I think this sci-fi genre in itself is.
I think the valid criticism for me is that the screenplay is slow, and we haven't talked about Pushpa 1 on this channel before, but I think this movie suffers a bit from Pushpa 1-itis, where they're gunning so much for a sequel that they forget to do a full movie in the original, which I think they did in this. They could have spent some stuff up and done a better full movie in this particular movie, but they leave too much for the sequel and they don't do full character development as a result.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess my positives from the movie were, like you said, the visual effects were very good. There was still some areas where, you could tell it was VFX, but for this production, it is the most expensive Indian film, I think.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I think that's what they're saying. It's
just to pay the cast, it would have been so expensive.
Yeah. But then you can see the money was well spent. Like, in terms of it is a very ambitious project.
I think if we look at another really expensive film, Adipurush, and compare the visual effects for that to this, it's just miles different. Yeah.
It's well, that's an example of how not to use money, I guess. But yeah, it's very ambitious. I think the thing I like most about it is the vision and ambition, and just, I guess, the risk that they took to even make this, because there's been nothing like this in Indian movies ever. This is quite unique in its the way it's built, its world. Even it's not like a hype, like it's not a mass movie.
And I think everyone kind of, all the actors kind of blend into that. Like, they don't try and overshadow each other, and they just play the role,
play the character.
Like the four main actors one of them kind of doesn't have a role in this, but the other three do a really good job in their particular role.
Yeah.
And Prabhas is probably playing off type a little bit as well.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that more in spoilers, but there are parts of the film with Prabhas that I did. Like, I think that his character and the way they defined it, and he's not really like, I wouldn't even say he's the hero of the movie. Yeah, like, I don't think there is a clear hero anyway. But
I would say, if anything, Amitabh is more of the hero than Prabhas in this movie. Yeah.
Prabhas himself described it as he doesn't talk much, like in interviews and stuff. But the few things he said, one of the things he said was there is grey shades, and it's the first time he's done a movie where he's playing sort of a negative
Han
character.
Solo-esque, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like he's a Han
like
Solo
selfish
kind of character.
Yeah, like he's in it for himself. Like, he's not there to help anyone.
Yeah.
And they play, like, I thought there was going to be, in all of these movies where there's a big hero like this, usually there's like a revelation at some stage that he's actually doing this for a noble cause, but not yet anyway. So they stick to that. Yeah, like you said, I thought Amitabh Bachchan was by far I enjoyed all the parts with him.
I can't believe how well they hid him in action scenes, given
Yeah.
that he's 81 and all the action that he does
He wouldn't
looks
have done any of that
it
stuff.
looks really good.
He is super fit though, but
Yeah. Oh, he can't do the shit that he did in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no way. Yeah, and I liked how they made him. He's a tall guy, but he's not that big. Like in this, they made him
upped him.
Yeah, and it looked organic. Like it didn't look like they did something weird. Like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, like he's a big character, like physically, and they made it look believable. I thought Deepika was also pretty good. She doesn't have like a huge amount to do in the movie, but she plays an important character. So I thought
it's probably like the emotional part of the movie.
Yeah.
What an interesting role for her to play, being pregnant when she filmed it as well.
Yeah, I don't think she was, because they've been making this movie for about
a while.
6 years.
Yeah.
So I don't think she was actually pregnant when they were filming it, but it was. I think she was good. In terms of the negatives, like you said, the first half was. I wouldn't just restrict it to the first half. I think most of the movie is pretty draggy. It does pick up in the second half, but the pace is slow.
The pace is off. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely off.
And there's if there was stuff that all needed to be there, I'd be a little bit more forgiving on this, but there was clearly stuff that didn't need to be there, or it could have been done differently. And one of the other criticisms, like as much as I like Prabhas's character in this movie, I think all the stuff with him just didn't work for me, like in the first half anyway, because he's basically playing a goofball that is in it for himself, and he's not related to the main plot till much later in the movie. And all the stuff with him, I guess if you like the humor, you'll enjoy those scenes. But I don't know, it just didn't work for me. Think I know what they were doing, because Nag Ashwin did say that his favorite movie with Prabhas is Bujigaru. And he was trying to, and he likes Prabhas doing like lighthearted roles, and he hasn't really done lighthearted role for a long time. So I think he wanted to bring that aspect out in him.
I didn't mind Prabhas's lighthearted role, but I think the problem mostly is that he's not related to the plot for a large portion of the movie.
Yeah.
So all the scenes that he's in
it
almost
kind of
feel like
takes
side scenes.
Takes you away from like the main plot. And the other thing is the trailer basically tells you the plot, but it doesn't kick in till the second half.
I think that's a problem. I think there's a part in the second half where there's a bounty that's put out and everyone chases the bounty. If that happened half an hour into the movie, then the whole movie would have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like how the movie started. So it starts with Amitabh Bachchan's character in the past. And I thought all the scenes in the past, not giving any spoilers, were pretty well done. And the way the movie begins, the first 10 minutes, I thought was very good. But then it does slow down.
Yeah.
And
I think they do introduce a lot of characters as well. Yeah. Like there's this kid character. I don't know how important they need to be in it. They've got quite a lot of screen time.
So the other, like you said, I think they've saved stuff for future films. I don't think there's even, this is not going to be just 2 films as well. I think it's going to be more than that based on what they've set up.
I felt like Prabhas they had an arc set out for him in the movie, but he never actually hits an arc at any point.
No, and he still hasn't. Like at the end of the movie, he's essentially still the same. So I think they're saving that for later films. And all the characters that they introduce, like that kid character, like you said. There's other ones, like there's these rebel characters and just characters in Kasi as well. And obviously Kamal Hassan's character, who's not in this.
He's not in it a great deal. I think they actually used him pretty well in the movie. Like he doesn't need to be in it more than what he was in it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Because he's essentially the big bad in this universe, I guess, and they're saving him for other things. So
he's one that use him sparingly.
Yeah.
But they probably spent a lot of time on other characters, which I don't know how much play they're going to get going forward, but maybe they will. And maybe once we put this all together or be a good vision.
Mm.
But definitely, like, I see why you didn't like Prabhas' stuff, given that it feels like a side character story.
Yeah.
Even though he's the main, well, kind of the main character.
Yeah, I think he's the big name, I guess. Like, he's the draw for the movie. Like,
I think he will be the main character in this universe in the end.
Yeah, well, in terms of what they've set up, probably. There could be other characters too, which we can get into in spoilers. But yeah, so that was what I wish I could say I liked it more. Like, I really did want to like it.
I think it's definitely worth watching, though.
That's the thing I would say.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's not everyone's going to like it. I think that's just a fact. But at the same time, I think everyone should still watch it. I think it's a movie that everyone should still experience, just for the visuals.
And I think after you watch it, despite what you think about this movie, you'll be like, I want to watch the next one.
Definitely. Yeah. I think it's definitely set up stuff for the next one. And it does get you, even if you didn't like...
Even if you didn't like 90%
most of the
of this
movie,
movie,
yeah,
you'll probably watch the last 15 minutes and you're like, that was actually really good.
We should.
Yeah.
I think that will be the case.
Yeah.
So, and the music was...
Some of it was okay. Some of it was, yeah.
I think the background score was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think the songs were essentially not required.
Well, there's only 2 songs.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And one of them's just complete time waste and
I
don't know
think
why it's in the movie. But
the one, the everyone knows the one. If you've seen the movie, you know the one we're talking about. They use it more as a world building type, like they want to show you parts of the world.
I thought that whole part could have been cut out, like, and that whole character doesn't need to be in the movie.
Exactly.
unless she comes back.
Yeah. So there's other characters like that where I'm like, they get like 5 minutes of screen time, and I'm like, are they going to be more important in the future, or are they just in this? But yeah, otherwise, it's definitely a movie that you need to watch. I think it's one of a kind.
It's not like when I watched like Brahmastra, which was trying to do something like this.
Yeah.
That is not worth watching, I don't feel. And like, I don't think they should even make a second one of this. But this had enough in it that I'm like, nah, it's really good. We should like get a second one. And I want to see a second one.
Yeah. And it's a bit more like an intellectual film almost. Like it's not a normal Indian film in the way that it doesn't cater to everyone. I don't think it's for everyone. I wouldn't say it's like Dune level intellectual. It's not like that, but it's also not like Star Wars level, like where it's meant to be for everyone type thing.
It doesn't explain a whole lot in this movie, especially. Like, it's more intellectual than most.
Yeah. So I just don't think
it's not a mass movie. It's not like a
Yeah, it has good action sequences. In the second half, it does.
Yeah,
I thought
all the action with Amitabh's really good.
Yeah,
surprisingly. Yeah,
I thought there's one main sort of action sequence in the first half where I just thought it went on too long. That was we can get into it in spoilers, but and I just didn't think it was that good. But the stuff with Amitabh Bachchan definitely on par with
lots of people saying that he's like the standout in this movie, and
I think
probably he is. Yeah,
easily he is. Yeah. Like just the way they defined his character, and I think it was great.
Problem is he disappears for most of the movie, and then he comes back.
I think the movie picks up when he comes back.
Yeah,
because he's sort of missing they're introducing other stuff when he's off screen. But I wish I could say I like it. It sounds like I'm negative. I did like it.
I
wanted to like it a lot. But
I'm like, it's like close to Salah in terms of how good it is for me. I probably like Salah a little bit more, but even with Salah, probably like some of the same issues happen with Salah. Like the first half is too slow. They don't do enough character development for the whole movie. The action is probably better in the second half than the first half. It's pretty similar in terms of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I would put this, I think I probably, like Salah's just maybe more of an enjoyable, like it's got a bit more of a payoff, I guess. Maybe because it is a mass movie, but I think this is more ambitious. Like it's obviously more ambitious.
If I could only watch Salah 2 or Kalki 2,
I'd watch
Kalki 2.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's just so much more that they could do in this world. And the effort that they've put in, I think you just have to appreciate that. Like I was saying earlier on, Nag Ashwin's third film, he must be super talented to be able to do this.
It's like Hollywood level visuals. Like it's not like Dune. Like Dune's obviously amazing, but if this kind of stuff was in like a Star Wars movie, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
it
and based on the budget, so like it's a big budget movie for India, but it's still a small budget movie based on what they've done. Like this type of movie in Hollywood would cost like 300 million.
I think it looks better than most Marvel movies recently.
I can't argue with that. I think it looks better than
It looks better than the Marvels.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah. The good thing is they didn't put everything into the CGI. Like they did practical, they did visual stuff, which makes it better.
Yeah. Great. Should we jump to spoilers?
Yeah.
Where should we start? I guess the beginning of the film, I did like that. So the Vajanti movie's logo is Krishna, Lord Krishna, and it's actually Senior NTR as Lord Krishna. But it starts with their logo and it goes straight into the war.
The battle, yeah.
So
I didn't know much about the Mahabharata, but I did some reading afterwards. So
okay, well that's one of the other things about this movie. I think it's going to make people interested in the scriptures, and people that were previously maybe not as interested might actually look into that. I'm the same. I don't know basically anything about Mahabharata, so I came at this from a completely neutral. Like I didn't get the references or anything. So it was,
from what I read, and I don't know if it's completely accurate what I read, this movie seems accurate in terms of what it displays in the Mahabharata. So Ashwatthama, there's the two sides, the
Pandava and the Kauravas.
The Kauravas. So Ashwatthama is a Kaurava, and he is the son of the King Kaurava.
Yeah,
and he is the final. He's the kind of final leader. Once all the Kauravas kind of go through various levels and they die during the war, and then they appoint a new leader. He's the final leader that they get, and then he chooses to end the what is it again?
Pandavas.
Pandava. Yeah, he chooses to end their lineage.
Yeah.
So he sends it starts off with him sending like this astra to kill the unborn baby, essentially. Yeah.
And they bring that back in the arc because he's trying to save an unborn baby. So
but essentially as penance for that, Krishna curses him that he will bleed from his wounds for the next 3,000 years until
the next incarnation of Krishna
of Kalki is born.
Yeah. Well, Kalki is the
final incarnation of
the name
Vishnu.
of the of Vishnu. Yeah. And I did like it's not a big thing, but they kind of had a silhouette version of
Krishna. They never show him.
Yeah, and I think that's
never show the face. Yeah,
that's obviously because they I think it's going to show up. I thought
me and the other guys were talking about it afterwards. I thought they didn't show it because they might be looking to cast a big name as it later on, but the other guys thought that they're just never going to show it just because of the sacredity of Krishna, I guess, and just not have a face for him.
Interesting. No, I think they'll cast someone. That could be the case that they want to keep him secret. But Kalki, he's going to be born eventually, right? So I think they will probably cast someone. And given that Ashwin Dutt himself is such a massive fan of Senior NTR,
I'm not thinking they're going to go Junior NTR. I've heard they're looking at Mahesh Babu or something for this.
Okay.
I've heard different. Yeah, I don't know if they'll go Junior NTR, but they could. I guess they'll be the crowd pleasing for Telugu fans. Will be the crowd pleasing thing. Yeah,
but also like Vishnu or Krishna is like a tall, large gentleman. Junior NTR is not a big guy, so maybe they'll look for someone else. But I think NTR will be in this universe as someone. That's my feeling. He'll be someone in this, just because of Ashwin Dutt, and they already have an association. They made Shakti with NTR, which they probably forgot about, but they do have an association with him.
The other thing I wonder is if we skip forward, Arjuna's casting this.
Yeah.
are they going to do a reincarnated version of Arjuna in the future? And does Vijay Deverakonda have to play him if they do that as well?
Yeah, so
Because
are the
the other guys hated him in this. I think it's because he has a Telangana accent as well, and he's like,
He does. I don't think he can do a non-Telangana accent, so that's just him. But Nagashwin also casts Vijay Deverakonda
in
all
every
his
movie,
movies,
yeah.
So that could be why. I didn't mind him that much. He's really just in.
He's in it for like 30 seconds.
Yeah. So I didn't think that was a big deal. The question is, do all the reincarnations have to be the same characters?
Yeah,
Like,
so do they have to be the same person?
actors?
The same actor?
Yeah,
because Prabhas
is the
gets incarnated. He's the same actor.
Yeah, the question is, because Ashwatthama isn't.
He's not a reincarnation.
Yeah,
he's the same guy.
He's the same guy. Did he just forget that he's?
It has been 3,000 years.
I guess so. Yeah. Maybe he just forgot. He's been like,
and he doesn't look exactly the same. He's like got like beard and like
he's got
like different hair and stuff.
Yeah, slightly different. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. After the initial introduction of Ashwatthama, then it basically skips forward 3,000 years.
3,000 years. Yep.
Is it 3,000 or 6,000?
6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I saw 6,000 years later on the screen.
It's 6,000. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So it skips forward, and then there's quite a long setup of this world.
Lots of characters. Like there's a Rajendra Prasad section with Mrunal Thakur in it as well.
So there's a lot of cameos. We'll go through the cameos as we remember them. But she's one of them.
Which take quite a long time for that setup, I guess.
Yeah.
It does set up the world a little bit and shows like this like complex universe, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is like the high society, and then everyone else is in the slums, essentially.
Yeah. So all the resources go to the complex, and then everyone else gets basically nothing. So it sets that up, and then I guess eventually Prabhas gets introduced, and there's a whole maybe 20 minutes with him about his character, how he's just a bounty hunter. He's just in it to get the units so he can go to complex.
It's a very much Han Solo character. I feel like that's what it's based around. Inspired around. Yeah.
Whenever they do this kind of thing, and it always happens with Prabhas movies where he ends up being the chosen one, like all the time. So in Bahubali, he was the chosen one.
I guess he's not the chosen one.
He's not, which is what I liked, because that was like, are they just going to make, like, is there going to be something?
For some reason, I thought that he would be, for the whole movie, it's kind of said that Deepika's child is going to be Kalki, essentially. And they're like, it's going to be Deepika's child. And I'm like, they're going to somehow make Prabhas Kalki in the end.
Yeah, or he's like some time traveling dude that he's actually Deepika's son, and he's like come from the future or something like that.
But he's just not Kalki.
Yeah, so he's just not, which is good. I like that because it gives us scope. It gives them scope to do other stuff as well. So, and I liked how they just stuck to his character. Like, he actually doesn't really change in the whole movie.
There is one part where he does change, where he kind of gets taken over by... He is the reincarnation of Karna, who is Ashwatthama's brother.
Stepbrother,
yeah. So
this I do know, 'cause I don't know if you did the reading on this, and we're just going to explain...
Arjuna kills him,
We're probably going to explain stuff to you that you already know, but like, he... is the son of the Sun Lord.
Yes.
And he is actually originally he's meant to be a Pandava.
Yes, but he agreed in the war to fight on the Kaurava side. So he does it out of duty. Yes. Essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was given away at birth because he was born out of wedlock.
Correct.
And he gets found by the...
Which, foreshadowing, it's basically Prabhas's backstory in this as well.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and at some point he gets his fortune told, and the card that gets picked out is a sun card.
And did he not have powers? Because he seems like he's stronger than a normal person in this world.
But he's not as strong as Ashwatthama.
Until he holds
the
so
weapon.
That sort of unlocks. But then in the intermission period, where he's like, oh, something's changed, is that when he gets activated? Like when the...
I don't think so. I don't think he activates his full power until he holds the staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
because
And
he,
it
he
seems-
notices that something's different because he can hold on to that stone thing as well.
Yeah.
And like all this other weird stuff starts happening as well, where like that bow, like no one can touch it anymore, and
Which
like,
looks like that's Arjun's bow, I think.
yes. So maybe like at that point, if there are reincarnations of the other
They're
demigods,
awakening as well.
yeah,
It seems that he's not aware of it though. He's like, because he goes into this trance and kills all these guys, and then he suddenly awakens and he's not even sure what he did.
Yeah, he's back to his normal self. Yeah. So there's something there. I thought the action sequence, which happens in the second half with Ashwatthama and Bhairava, which
where he's just trying random shit to try and take him down.
yeah,
And Ashwatthama just brute forces him. Yeah.
It's basically destroys, but he doesn't kill him, which is why I'm thinking like he can't be a normal human, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because he like rubble falls on him and all this stuff, and he's still fine. So, but at the same time, he's also normal human size, whereas Ashwatthama's like a massive
God size.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So after that sequence, like it does speed up after that. They end up going to Shambhala, which is where
That's like a Wakanda kind of place, pretty much.
essentially-
Yeah.
I think there's inspirations there as well. It's meant to be the birthplace of Kalki. Hence
Yes.
they take Deepika
They take
there.
the baby there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Deepika. Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's destroyed. Well, it's not destroyed, but they've kind of left there.
Yeah. Well, he bailed. He
Yeah.
he takes her and he bails. So
Yeah.
yeah. I was surprised that that's how it ended. I assumed that his character would turn there, but he doesn't, and he just bails with her.
And that's the end of the movie.
But you do see a cool kind of flashback scene where Prabhas comes to fight Arjun in
Yeah.
the Mahabharata. Yeah.
And we saw that coming from the start because there's a point where Amitabh
The
Bachchan
kid.
says,
Yeah.
someone, there was someone that was more powerful than me who could yield this staff.
No, the kid's first like, oh, so you must have been the most powerful. And he's like, no, I got defeated by Arjun.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so Arjun must be the most powerful. And then he's like,
yeah.
no, there's one more. That's more. Yeah.
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 And they can yield this staff or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't say who it is
Yeah.
conveniently.
But
Because
you know
yeah.
it's going to be Prabhas. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously that was coming from the start, but I didn't know enough about the Mahabharata to like link it to, oh, that's kind of like people probably piece that together. But yeah.
people that know it better than us would have pieced it together way earlier.
Yeah. Like they would have figured it out. Yeah. And I thought the action sequence, the final fight sequence was pretty decent as well.
Yeah. He just rips through everyone, which is good.
Yeah. And there's a fight between, there's a second round between Amitabh and Prabhas as well,
which
where
he
like
loses again.
he upgrades Buji and then and then they fight again, but he loses again.
Which is also good to see Prabhas just losing fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why like they didn't make it about him, which they easily could have, but like he's just another character. So that was good. Yeah, in terms of the cameos, so we've already mentioned Murad Thakur. There was Dulquer Salman as well.
Dulquer is his kind of like adoptive father, who's a
yeah.
bit
I'm
of a
guessing he's
bag
gonna
as well.
he's gonna come back at some stage.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could come back. I guess he's been cast in a previous Nag Ashwin as well, so you want to bring him back.
He was in Mahanati, right?
Yeah. Who knows if that story is even true as well? Because Buji kind of says,
he makes up a story.
Yeah, he
every
makes up-
time.
yeah.
It could be a true one. I thought some of the emotional. I think another thing about this movie is it doesn't really resonate emotionally.
Well, for Bhairava, there's no emotional.
I don't think for-
if anything, it's only Deepika, possibly.
Slightly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and maybe Ashwatthama. I think Ashwatthama is probably the most. But yeah, I think the rest are like kind of they don't spend enough time with the characters, or it's just not well enough done for you to resonate emotionally.
I'd say Disha Patni is probably a cameo and an unnecessary cameo at that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that song was completely unnecessary. There's a couple of cameos in that song as well. Chitti from what's that comedy movie that came out during
Jati Ratnalu.
Yeah, so she's in there, and the director of Jati Ratnalu is also there.
Okay. Yeah.
In that song. And then there's Ram Gopal Varma, which I thought
RGV was afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought like it leaked that he was
And I thought that was
potentially
a
doing.
joke.
I
Yeah.
thought that was just like surely
Yeah.
not.
Do you know that's his first acting role? Apparently, he tweeted about it.
And someone asked him like whether you're in Kalki, and he just said no. And obviously, like no one's gonna actually think he's in it.
Yeah,
So,
because
like,
he's a weird bloke now. he's gone down a weird path. So
yeah. So
yeah.
like everyone's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, of course he's not in it.
Yeah.
But then
he's actually in
he was
this.
actually in it.
Yeah.
Raja
That was
Malik-
probably my biggest surprise. I just think
yeah.
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 Brahmanandam's probably a cameo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. I mean,
It's
he's
definitely
an
cameo.
actual character. He's
Yeah.
in more than one scene. So
Yeah.
and he was
Raja-
in that animated series as well.
Rajamouli's a cameo.
He's,
Yep.
he's a
They
cameo.
make some jokes about him like locking down characters for 5 years and stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It was like I guess if you, some people didn't know who he was, which is surprising.
Mm.
Like they didn't recognize him, or they just didn't know who he was. So they're like, "What are these jokes about him?" But if you know it, if you know who he is, then you'll get the joke.
Yeah.
And then there was there any more?
Kirti Suresh is a cameo, I guess, as Buji. But yeah.
It's basic.
But she's
in
full character.
She's in
yeah.
the full movie, so she's the voice.
Vijay Deverakonda
Yeah,
as Arjun. Shobana, I don't know if it's a cameo or a full role, I guess. Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
she's
in it for a decent amount.
I think Rajendra Prasad, I guess it's a cameo. He does die earlier in the movie, but yeah.
Kamal Hassan's almost a cameo. He's in it for 2 scenes.
Yeah.
But pretty good in both scenes.
The visual effects or prosthetics or whatever they did for him was pretty good.
Well, at the end when he's Wham, how is he actually Wham in real life, or is that CGI?
That looks more like him in real life.
Okay.
Yeah.
But before that, he looks real skinny and like
he doesn't look anything like that.
Yeah,
in real
but he
life,
looks looks good. Yeah.
It like gave me Snoke vibes.
Snoke, a bit of that guy from June.
Oh yeah,
The Baron.
The Baron, yeah.
Yeah. But skinny instead of fat.
Yeah, I guess he went from Snoke to the Baron.
Yeah.
At the end, he looks more like the Baron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they've got like, I don't know who the actor is, but he's got like henchmen guys. Like,
Oh yeah, he's the main henchman dude is kind of like the main villain in this movie.
yeah.
So he dies at the end, and he's got like another henchman, like a
spiritual henchman. He's like doing like spiritual research and stuff. Yeah.
Like there's two. I think he's closer to him because he can actually go and talk to him, whereas
The other guy has to get invited in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for an Indian film, I think it's very different.
If I watch this again, I want to watch it on streaming and skip through the boring parts and just watch the good parts.
Yeah. But definitely worth a watch. I think
Yeah.
everyone.
I'm really looking forward to the next one. Apparently, it's already 60% shot as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Maybe Prabhas isn't in it much.
Possibly. Yeah.
I don't think he'd be.
They could do a whole movie without him.
But they kind of need to because Deepika's with him now. So
True. Yeah.
Unless like they just
do like a whole different, like they do a different character,
different side of the universe somewhere else.
Yeah. Like they do a Vijay Deverakonda movie or something.
Yeah. That would be a turn in his fortunes if they were to do that based on his current
trajectory.
Yeah. The fact that they managed to get Amitabh Bachchan, Kamal Hassan, Prabhas, all of these people, I think it was an indication that there was definitely something about this story and this movie and this universe that got them interested. I think Prabhas would have done it anyway.
But the other guys obviously had to do something different. And I think for some of them, especially Amitabh hasn't done anything good in many years. So,
and he hasn't been acting that much either.
Yeah.
Like he used to do like 5 movies a year, but
so to get him to do something like this,
And I think the big one was Kamal Hassan because he also is pretty selective with what he does. And they managed to sort of convince him to do 2 scenes, which means that they must have something
and
pretty good plan.
For Kamal Hassan to be the villain as well. So like he would only do it if it's a good character.
And it's good to see him, like everyone I haven't seen that many Kamal Hassan movies, but everyone says that he's like the one of the best actors
ever. Yeah.
Like in India. Along with probably Amitabh Bachchan as well. But like, they always say he's one of the best. But we just haven't seen him in good movies for a while.
Yeah.
I think Vikram
everyone says
Vikram is meant to be good, and maybe Indian 2 will be good as well. So maybe he's making a stunning comeback.
The funny thing is, Kamal Hassan has no screen time with any of the main characters in this movie.
Yeah, I don't think he would have met any of them.
Yeah,
so,
but Prabhas said he didn't meet him until the press thing.
Yeah.
But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this is a good movie.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's not a great movie though.
Initially, when I walked out, I'm like, do I like this?
Yeah.
And I just couldn't make up my mind because there's parts of it where I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted to see. And then there's parts where I'm just disappointed that it wasn't what I wanted it to be. But the more I think about it, I'm like, no, it's definitely it's a movie you should watch.
It's just not great. It's not probably, we went in with high expectations, so it's not gonna eclipse all those expectations.
Even with high expectations, I think there's just fundamentally issues with it in terms of pacing and all of that, which are like, no matter what your expectations are, it will fall flat.
But I think they've probably built enough of the world now that hopefully in the next two movies, if they nail the next two, like, it would be perfect.
And it is only his third movie, so like he'll get better. And I think he had a lot of guidance from others as well. But yeah, I mean, it's his vision, it's his story.
Yeah. It's good to see someone do something like close to the level that SSR does stuff. So
yeah. And this is very different to SSR because he tends to do more periodic films like in the past, whereas this is futuristic. And like in Indian movies, you don't see futuristic films.
No, yeah. This is like one of the few. Yeah,
it's never happens, or like when they do it, it's just not very good.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No. I quite liked it. I did. Yeah. I don't think I want to watch it again anytime soon though, but I did quite like it. Yeah.
Great. Okay. It is also out in 3D, so
we didn't watch it in 3D.
We didn't watch it in 3D, but it's available in 3D. I think our next one will be probably Indian 2.
Yeah, we might. If we get the time to watch that before we head away.
Yeah, and I think we will get a chance to watch it. I think it's coming out a week before we go, so we'll try to watch that. I haven't seen the first one in a very, very long time.
Same. Yeah.
Cool. If people want to get in touch with us and tell us their thoughts on Kalki, how should they go about it?
So we're on all platforms at Paisa Vasool now?
Correct.
Yeah.
So Instagram, TikTok, and obviously if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a comment down below.
Yeah.
And don't forget to subscribe. We should say this at the beginning, but we always forget. But if you do like content like this, we'll be coming out with more stuff. We do actually have a bunch of episodes that we've recorded already, which will come out slowly. This will be the sort of the first one that comes out in a little while. So I think that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Definitely tell us your thoughts on this movie. Definitely, it sparks conversation, I think, at least.
Yeah, something different.
Whether you like it or not, I think you're probably going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
Great. Hope you're all having a great day. Thanks for spending part of it with us, and we'll see you probably for Indian 2 later down the line, but keep an eye out for all the other episodes that are going to come out in between. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.